Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to talk a bit on sociolinguistics and varieties of language. What are the varieties of language? So let's get started. The first one is dialect, standard language, register, idiolect, sociolect, Pidgin, Creole, and the last we have that is diglossia. So first we will see what does sociolinguistics means. If you want to know more about sociolinguistics, I have already made video on that. Link in the description. Watch that video as well. That will be helpful for you. But here we will discuss shortly sociolinguistics definition. So it is a branch of linguistics that analyzes the effects of social and cultural factors within a speech community upon its language pattern. Or sociolinguistic means the study of language in relation to social factors, differences of regional, class and occupational, dialect, gender differences and bilingualism. That is called sociolinguistics. So the first one, that is dialect. Varieties of language, the first type is that is dialect. Variety of language which has different pronunciation. In dialect we have different pronunciation, grammar, spelling, sounds or vocabulary than the standard language of the culture, and it is unique to a specific region or social group. Now the study of dialect is known as dialectology or sociolinguistics. In dialect, these three words are important. Pronunciation. In dialect, your pronunciation will be different, your grammar, your spelling and sounds or vocabulary than the standard language of the culture, and it's unique to a specific region or social group. That is called dialect. The second one is that is standard language. Standard language or standard variety is the variety of a language which has the highest status in community. Means it has the highest status in community or nation, and which is usually based on the speech and writing of educated native speakers of the language. For instance, where we use standard language is used in government documents, news media, schools and dictionaries, etc. Here in these all we use standard language, even in books. So this is the example of standard language, and it is most appropriate in formal and educational context. It has highest status in community or nation, and its examples like Urdu, many dialects, but there is one which is called Adabi Urdu. Sindhi language like Hyderabadi Sindhi language, which is used in Sindhi educational institutes, that is standard language. Register, variety of language used in different social situations. For instance, English language, it is used differently in different fields. Like in law, the English language is used differently, means their vocabulary that is differently used. Religion, science, medical, sports, teaching, etc. So in every field of life, the language of English that is totally different, means their vocabulary, we use different vocabulary. So in register, like think about the words you choose, your tone of voice, even your body language. Example like you might behave differently chatting with friends but not in dinner party or job interview. Means when you go for interview, obviously you will use formal words, but if you meet with your friend, there will be no formality between your friends. You can use any word that can be informal too. The fourth that is idiolect. It concerns from the Greek. Idio means one's own, yeah, personal, private, peculiar, separate, yeah, distinct, and lect, which technically comes from Greek but has just become a common linguistic ending, the specific way that a single person speaks. Meanwhile, this includes person's vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation and anything else that affects the way words comes out of their mouth. So idiolect is your specific way that a person speaks. Meanwhile, it means like it includes that what kind of vocabulary you use, how you pronounce that, what kind of grammar you use, how you use the grammar, pronunciation and anything else that affects the way words comes out of their mouth. This fifth is that is sociolect. Sociolect, a variety of language that is used by a particular social group or a certain society. Means this is used in a certain society or social class, makes use of language, the way in which a particular sentence is expressed in a one class or another, in fact Sociolect is a social dialect. Sociolect is also called social dialect. Sociolect example is like Christian, Muslims and Jewish in Baghdad speaks differently variety of Arabic. That speaks the different variety of Arabic they use or they speak in Baghdad, Iraq. The sixth one is that is Pidgin. A Pidgin or Pidgin language is a simplified version of a language that develops as means of communication between two or more groups that don't have a language in common. Means that is not a common language. That is, this language is made. In Pidgin, a language is made. A language is constructed. Nevertheless, it is most commonly employed in situations such as trade or where both groups speak different languages. And Pidgin language is especially used in trade, because if you meet with someone in trade while trading someone, obviously you are unfamiliar with his or her language, the same she or he is unfamiliar with your language, then a language is constructed and that language is called Pidgin. Different languages, like from the language of the country in which they reside, means that language is not your language and that language is not the language of that person whom you speak or whom you talk. That is different. The language that is constructed, that is called Pidgin. Or we can say it is the mixture of several languages. And Pidgin languages have no native speakers, mixing of languages, reduced grammar and vocabulary that comes in Pidgin language. Creole. Creole is a French word which means native to a locality or country. When a Pidgin becomes the native language of a speech community, that is called Creole. Means when a Pidgin language becomes the language of a community, that can be a specific community, that can be any community, so that becomes Creole. Mixed languages associated with culture and often racial mixture, like native speakers exist, have parents who use Pidgin language, it's stable. So the language Creole, that is stable language, it has vocabulary and it becomes the language of a community. And last but not least, actually a language that began as a Pidgin but has become the native language of a country or is a community, that is called Creole, and it is a stable. This language is a stable and it has native speaker exists, mixed language associated with cultural and often racial mixture, and have parents who use Pidgin. Stable Creole is a French word, so that's why it is called like native to a locality or country. Diglossia, Greek word. Diglossia means speaking two languages. The term diglossia was first used in English by linguist Charles Ferguson in 1959, a situation in which two distinct varieties of a language are spoken within the same speech community. It is not a dialect. If a language is dialect, that language will not be called diglossia. So remember, this is the main point. Diglossia is not a dialect, because when the language will not be if it is a dialect, then that language will not be called diglossia. So let's understand diglossia by its variations. Variations of diglossia. The first one is high variety, the second one is low variety. In high variety, formal language is used. Like formal language is used where in sermon, speech of parliament, university lecture, newspaper, serious work in literature, official and professional. Here we use high variety of diglossia. Low variety is informal, like friend, we use with friends, it's slang word. And if you want to know about slang language, what does slang language mean, I have also already video uploaded on this too, so watch that video as well, link in the description. Vulgar and instruction of servants, conversation with friends, etc. that comes in low variety. So this is the variations of diglossia. I hope this video has been helpful for you. If this video has sparked your interest, so I request you to like, share, comment. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Take care of yourself. Allah Hafiz.